Hello everyone and welcome to Gurun's classes. Okay, so today we'll be doing the circulatory system. Fine. Now in the circulatory system we have movable fluids, immovable fluids also there. But in the circulatory system we'll be discussing about blood and lymph. Okay. Now what is blood? Blood is a fluid connective tissue. That means blood runs from the tip of your toe to up to your head, and then it acts like a transporting system whereby blood rushes from the blood is pumped with the pump organ called heart, and with the help of the heart it goes to everywhere. So when it goes to everywhere, then other materials are also carried by blood. Fine. Now what does blood carry? Blood carries is food, blood carries is oxygen, blood carries hormones, antibodies, nitrogenous waste, carbon dioxide, water, etc. So blood acts as a transporting system, a unit. Okay. Now when we see blood, blood is a fluid connective tissue, and in that fluid if we see, then actually there are two portions. One is the liquid portion, which is known as the plasma. Another is the cellular portions in that plasma, just like a river. Suppose there is a river water. Okay. Now in the river water, what do we have is the water is flowing, and there are stones and fishes are also there. So likewise the liquid portion is known as plasma, and then the solid portions, which are known as the cellular portions, are known as corpuscles, which are of three types: RBC, WBC, and platelets. Okay. Now in the blood, okay, the these are the things: the liquid portion and the cellular portions. The functions of blood, it might come in your exam. What are the functions of blood? Blood carries carbon dioxide also. Okay. Now we'll come to the different types of blood cells. Different types of blood cells are RBC, WBC, and platelets. Now RBC, red blood cells, are also known as erythrocytes. Okay, they are known as what? Erythrocytes, and they are born in bone marrow. Inside the bone there is a there is a mesh like structure, and then it has a jelly like structure, which is known as bone marrow. And then initially, if you see, the nucleus is absent. In a fully grown RBC, the nucleus is absent, but initially the RBC contains nucleus, but since it wants to accommodate more oxygen, so that is why the nucleus dies. Okay. And what happens is that it becomes biconcave shape. See here, I can show you here. This is biconcave shape. Okay. And it carries oxygen. Why? Because red blood cells contains a very special carrying entity, which is known as hemoglobin. Okay. When we say blood carries oxygen, actually it is red blood cells which carries oxygen, and in the red blood cells also actually it is the hemoglobin which carries oxygen. And in the hemoglobin also, hemoglobin is made up of two parts. Okay, that is the iron containing part, which is known as the hemin, and the globin. Okay, the hema or the hemin is the iron containing part, and actually oxygen goes and hooks with iron and forms iron oxide actually. So this is the iron containing part, and globin is the protein. So oxygen goes and unites with hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin, which is a temporary compound. Just like a postman coming to your house and comes with a letter. So postman is the hemoglobin, letter is the oxygen, and then oxygen is delivered to you, and then postman again becomes without that letter. So likewise, hemoglobin unites with the oxygen and becomes oxyhemoglobin and gives oxygen to the organs. Okay, and then again becomes hemoglobin. So that is a temporary compound. Likewise, hemoglobin to certain extent also carries carbon dioxide. It unites with and forms carbamino hemoglobin. But sometimes you must have heard people dying during the winter season in various Himalayan belts, because during the winter time they burn is coal, and then they even close the ventilators also to make the room warm, and because of the coal, okay, people die. That's a slow death. Why? It is because that coal, when is burned, causes incomplete combustion, and instead of producing carbon dioxide, produces carbon monoxide, and carbon monoxide unites with hemoglobin. When we inhale that, goes and unites with the blood and forms carboxyhemoglobin, which is a permanent compound. As a result, more and more hemoglobin will be occupied by carbon monoxide, and the person succumbs to death. Okay, so this often happens in the Himalayan region. Okay, during the winter season time, whereby people they burn coal in angetis and all. Okay, otherwise the main function of RBC is to carry oxygen with the help of hemoglobin. Okay, and then it lives for 100 to 120 days, fine, and then it dies in liver or spleen, and then when it dies, okay, it breaks down itself into bilirubin and biliverdin, which also becomes a part of the bile in the gallbladder, okay, and gets stored in the gallbladder. So regarding RBC, only few points might come, right? What is the lifespan of RBC, or why is it biconcave in shape? Okay, or what is the function of RBC, what is the another name of RBC, what is erythrocyte, etc. Fine. Now let us come to WBC. WBC is also known as leukocytes. They are known as what? Leukocytes. Now they are also born in bone marrow, and their main function is defense mechanism, to protect. Like we have is army, we have is BSF, we have is SSB. So likewise, their main function is to protect our body. So that is why WBC is, according to the function, is divided into two types. Okay, because there are two types of cells. In the cytoplasm of one type, there are granules. So I have drawn here granules. In the cytoplasm of another type of WBCs, they don't have granules. So they are known as granulocytes and granulocytes. Granulocytes are of three types: neutrophil, eosinophil, and basophil. Granulocytes are of two types: monocytes and lymphocytes. Now, granulocytes, the main part is neutrophil. One of the basic cell is neutrophil, and its main function is phagocytosis. And even of our granulocytes also, monocyte is there and lymphocytes are there. Monocyte main function is phagocytosis. So I have shown, okay, monocyte and lymphocyte, the main function is what? Phagocytosis. Now what is phagocytosis? Okay, here I have drawn a figure here, see here diagram. This is a blood vessel and blood is flowing. But okay, if there is a germ somewhere around in the cell or somewhere around the blood vessel, okay, then WBC, it has the ability to squeeze out of the blood vessel. It has the amoeboid, that movement is there. It can squeeze out of the blood vessel, okay, and when it senses any foreign material, any antigen, any bacteria, any a foreign cell, then suppose these black cells I have drawn here are WBCs, then it can ooze out of the blood vessel. So that property or the process or the phenomenon in which WBC oozes out of the blood vessel is known as diapedesis. Okay, and then afterwards it moves towards the foreign particle, the antigen, and then starts engulfing it. Okay, starts engulfing it just like an amoeba. That process and eats it completely, digests it, is known as phagocytosis. This phagocytic function is done by neutrophil and monocyte. Okay, so the question might come: define diapedesis, define phagocytosis. Fine. Now another function of eosinophil and the function of eosinophil and basophil, more or less they are same, is they produce allergy. Say suppose if you are eating, some people they have is allergy to against egg, against brinjal, or against against bee sting also. Okay, so allergy means the body is alarmed, saying that something that you had taken inside or something that has gone inside is not good. Okay, and please look into that matter as soon as possible. So, and they work together, and inflammation is also produced. For example, when a bee stings, okay, and inflammation is also there, redness is also there, you have it in itching. Why is that inflammation? It is sending a message to the central nervous system saying that please look into this matter. There is something which is very, very, which might be harmful to your body. And in that case, they produce granules which are known as histamines. Histamine causes that inflammatory, that sensation is there because of histamine, and that is why when you have an inflammation, you have an itching in your body, suppose, and then doctors they prescribe you is antihistamine tablets. We take that, and then that inflammation subsides also. Say suppose sometimes I have seen also some people they take outdated medicines also, or medicines in higher dose, or wrong medicines at that time. They have is allergy, they have is inflammation in their body, redness is there, and then they take antihistamine tablets, and then it subsides. Fine. And then the main important thing, very important right now, which we are dealing about is the agranulocyte. Another type is lymphocyte. Lymphocyte actually is also B lymphocyte and T lymphocyte is also there. Anyways, lymphocyte. The main function of lymphocyte is to produce antibodies. Right now, which we are dealing about is antibodies, helping our body, to produce antibodies by introducing vaccine. And what is vaccination? Okay, what is vaccination? Vaccination means we are introducing the germ corona, or the type of corona type only, or the particular protein, okay, that corona is having, which provokes our body to produce a fighting mechanism against the real coronavirus, which takes time. Due course of time is needed. Okay, and that fighting mechanism that is produced in our body, so that in the later half of the in the later on, when the real coronavirus enters our body, then we have is that fighting mechanism. So that fighting protein that is produced, is with the help of lymphocyte. So right now, vaccination, mass vaccination program is going on, and in that vaccination, what actually is done is dead or weakened or of another type, or similar protein is introduced in our body of corona. Okay, so that is why when it is introduced, you must have seen, or heard also, whereby people having, similar symptoms of corona, having fever also, body ache also, and some people have died also. If they already have corona in their body, asymptomatic, or if they are taking certain medicines, okay, or if their immune system is weak, already they are taking medicines of something else, and if their immune system is weak, and if they get vaccinated, then they become overdose, and because of that also they die. So that is why a person's medical history is asked, okay, or the person has to be in fact well aware when to take the vaccine or not also. Okay, so better be aware about this. Okay, so antibodies, so main function is antibodies, production of antibodies. Okay, so how do we draw antibodies? In general, we draw antibodies this way. So this is the heavy chain and this is the light chain. This is the general diagram of antibodies. So dear students, kindly go through this. In the next class, we will discuss about the platelets or thrombocytes and its main function, blood coagulation, and we'll talk about heart, the major pumping organ. Okay, so thank you very, very much.